2023 was the year of the paddle drop. We had up to 50 paddles drop on our site alone.
Yeah, we saw thermoforming gain in popularity with a ton of companies releasing thermoform paddles, and it seems like just everybody is releasing something with raw carbon fiber.
Yeah, spin has become such an important part of the game, and the manufacturers are showing that that raw carbon fiber textured surface really is what imparts the most spin right now.
Yeah, and there are some notable exceptions, which we will get to, but the other thing that we found most interesting was the evolution in core technology beyond kind of the original honeycomb style.
Lots of different honeycomb versions still out there, and pickleball players love that original feel. However, we saw some real unique additions to that from some of our partners. We're excited about what that means, not only for the paddles we've seen, but the paddles that are coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Narrowing down to our 10 favorites was almost impossible.
More than. It just was impossible. We didn't do it. Our list goes to 11.
You know what we do?
Put it up to 11.
11, exactly.
So starting off, we've got the best player in the world's weapon of choice, the Joola Perseus. When Joola launched the Hyperion CFS last year in 2022, it was a hit. Immediately took off on the market, and the Perseus launch this year did the same thing. We've got a ton of power from thermoform construction, the same raw carbon fiber surface that people grew to love from Joola, a really nice feeling grip.
And then Ben wanted a different shape. He went away from the rounded corners to a more squared, gave him just a little bit more reach without sacrificing the power and the forgiveness that he was looking. It's a great all-court paddle.
Absolutely.
What's next?
Moving right along, we've got the Power series from Carbon, which was immediately a fan favorite from everyone who picked it up. Just kind of turned everyone into a little, powerhouse on the court.
It did, and people started talking a lot more about thermoforming when this paddle came out. Came out originally in the 1X and the 2X shapes. A little bit later in the year, they dropped the 3X shape. I kind of like the 3X myself, but a different shape for each different play style, more defensive to more offensive.
This is an awesome paddle, and I'm really excited to see what Carbon comes up with next.
Yeah, came out early, so it really got a lot of play throughout the year.
Up next, we have the Engage Pursuit Pro series. This has got to be Engage's best paddle so far.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. And they tried a couple other iterations of it that weren't as successful. And then with the Pro series, the Pursuit Pro, they really hit a home run.
Yeah, I love to see Engage iterating that quickly, listening to people, and then coming out with something that ultimately met people's needs, that kind of had that unique feel that the Pursuit series always had, and just gave it a top-tier elite spin production surface.
All right, what's next?
Moving along to another company that came over from tennis and has done an awesome job in pickleball, is with, once again, probably their best paddle to date, is the Diadem Edge 18K Power Pro. Say that 5 times fast.
Diadem 18K Edge Power Pro, well, 5 times fast.
Nailed it.
Diadem dropped a number of paddles this year. This is by far the one that got people most excited. When the 18K came out with that triaxial carbon fiber, that really gave some high spin potential. But when they took and elongated the handle and then added some thermoforming to the Power Pro, really made the paddle sing.
Yeah, I mean, that surface is just gorgeous, and it's so nice that this is more than just aesthetics. Not overly cumbersome. I feel like you could just put this in anyone's hand and send them out and they could play pretty close to their best game. Up next, one of our favorites.
It was a little bit under the radar, some people might say, but for me, this is one of the most powerful carbon fiber faced paddles that I've hit this year, and really enjoyed how the quality of a Paddletek paddle with the new carbon fiber face really made such a nice marriage.
I like to tell people, if you've ever bitten into like a really crisp apple, that's what contact feels like with this Bantam core. And you just add a really well executed raw carbon face from Paddletek, which we haven't seen up till now, and you just get a high performing paddle across the board.
Yeah, well done. And now for something completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that some people say may have broke the game or broke the market. Undoubtedly though, it provided more innovation in the core than we've seen in a long, long time in pickleball.
Yeah, we may have cut one of these open so you could see what's in there. It's very interesting with Rafael taking that solid span core technology and instead of just single fibers of carbon fiber going down, really breaking up into 7 different sections, getting different play characteristics throughout the paddle. And proof is in the pudding. When you hit this, the ball's jumping off the paddle face, but having put the texture right into the mold, it really makes that spin potential next level too.
Another unique paddle to the market, and love to see kind of a high-end performance paddle coming out of ProKennex.
So ProKennex dropped the Black Ace earlier, but the XF came into 2023, which allows us to put it on this list. But it really is a different playing paddle. I've always been impressed with the ProKennex because the tungsten absorption that's in these paddles, that kinetic system, really makes it feel very soft. You're not getting a ton of feedback as those beads are absorbing that energy, but the way the ball jumps off it really is interesting and a bit surprising for the feel. So always like that about ProKennex. I think the Black Ace has that in, spades. I didn't mean to do that, I'm sorry.
I mean, it's one of the lowest profile paddles we have. It's super easy to maneuver, but when you play with it, you just feel like you've got lightning in your hands, which I absolutely love, and a ton of players out there do too, even those with some sensitive elbows.
Definitely.
One of my favorite launches this year, partially to do because of that beautiful blue color, but also due to how it plays, just balanced across the board, is the Forza series from Volair. Now they launched the Mach 1s and then late this year launched the Mach 2. We're going to talk about this Mach 1 though. This has to be one of the most popular shapes of 2023.
A lot of paddles came out with that rounded top, so yes, we've seen that. The thermoforming that they added in their Mach series, in the Forza series, really makes a difference.
Yeah, another one of those, you pick it up, it feels pretty balanced out of the box for most players, and then you play with it, and you don't feel like you have to add too much to get the most out of the paddle, and we love to see it.
Yeah. All right, what's your spin on this paddle?
The paddle that did produce some controversy out there this year, but undoubtedly produces some of the most spin of any paddle we have. Our tagline for it was almost like writing in cursive, and you kind of feel that out on the court.
Yeah, no block letters needed. You're going to be able to bend the ball with both the Zane Navratil, the Connor Garnett, and we've seen those guys. Obviously, at that level, you take this kind of a paddle, put it in their hands, they can do some really interesting, fun things with it. Spin doesn't happen unless you've got a stroke that will generate some spin. The paddle can enhance it, and ProXR found a way to really enhance it with this series.
Absolutely. Well said. One of the hottest launches of the year didn't have to do with more power, but it did have to do with placing the ball exactly where you want it, which we found customers really want, and the thermoforming trend doesn't exactly answer.
No, and this is still a one-piece paddle, but they threw enough into it to really highlight the control aspects. My favorite part of this launch was they took their labs, they got some feedback on the predecessors that came from labs that they were too soft. People weren't getting anything out of it. So when we had our first look at this and hit it, we were all impressed that we didn't have to overswing to get drives deep, to get our serves deep. But when it came to the dinks, so super consistent, able to keep the ball low, putting it where we wanted. With those resets, just a great paddle to have in your hands if you're looking to take control by not overpowering, but by placement. Excited to see Jack Sock play with this in the new year.
Yeah, the Luxx Control Air definitely lives up to its name. I think it is probably the ultimate game improvement paddle in my mind for a lot of players, just because it's going to make it so much easier to focus on the finesse and control aspect of your game instead of getting frustrated popping the ball up over and over again, so you just resort right back to banging.
And the last one on the list, It's not going to be on everybody's list, but it made ours because there is some true innovation going on with our friends from Adidas and the Metalbone. They took some of their padel or paddle, depending on where you learn to say the sport's name, and they put it into pickleball. It's a dense PMI foam core, so it's a core that is not a honeycomb of any kind. It's not the solid span from Gearbox. It's a foam core. They've got a thin profile to it, and then they have their weighting system. Now, we've said all along that the weighting system being down here isn't going to change a lot of the paddle specs by a great deal. It does add static weight, which is going to help with your plow through. Every time you're adding weight, it does add some to the swing weight. We think there are better places to put the weighting system to really affect the paddle, but at least we've got something that's new and unique. And then you combine that with the foam core, with the texture that they were able to get off it. I'm excited for what comes next from Adidas as they start to put more and more of that padel technology into pickleball paddles. Again, over 40 models that we weren't able to talk about today, a lot of good new product on the market, and I'm excited by where we are, where we're going. A lot more dropping in 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. An awesome year in 2023. We'll see you guys next year.